Tracking Hurricane Irma with Florida's most accurate ABC Action News. Live from the station taking action for you, this is ABC Action News.
The clock is ticking. Hurricane Irma now right around 37 hours from making landfall in Florida. Then, just hours after that, we will feel it right here in the Bay Area. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Wendy Ryan.
And I'm Jamison Euler. The dangerous storm getting closer every moment, and it is not one you want to take lightly.
That's right. Tonight, multiple Bay Area counties issuing mandatory evacuation orders to get your family to safety.
Thousands of people in Tampa, Venice, Sarasota, Manatee, Pasco, Citrus, and Hernando counties under mandatory evacuations tonight. MacDill Air Force Base also telling service members they need to get to safety. Hernando County's order, including both coastal zones A and B, Highlands, Polk, and Hillsborough counties, also issuing voluntary evacuation orders tonight.
Hurricane Irma's path getting closer to the Bay Area with every new track. Chief Meteorologist Dennis Phillips standing by with crucial information you need to know right now. Dennis?
Yeah, Wendy, I mean, this was the latest track as of 5 o'clock. There will be an intermediate advisory at 8 o'clock. That's when they can change warnings if they choose to. But the track itself will not change until 11 o'clock. And I seriously doubt that they change it at all because it's pretty much right on top of the path of the European model, which they've even said in their discussion. The Hurricane Center said this is what we're going with. So at this point, it's no longer a matter of waiting for the models to flip-flop. It's a matter of waiting for the storm to turn. It's as simple as that. We've been saying that now for about 3 days. We knew it was going to continue to go west, and eventually on Saturday, some point from the mid-morning to the mid-afternoon, we think it's going to start to make a turn off to the north. No, it's going to turn to the north. The only question is, how early will that turn be? Early enough to maybe keep it on the east side of the state? Late enough to keep it on the west side? It is really, at this point, a wait and see. However, the reason I'm throwing the line on here, because it is important. I think while there could be a surge issue, it's a possibility on Monday morning for some areas with high tide. I'm far more concerned about the wind, because this, even though it will be a Category 4 at landfall, it has a lot of land to go over before making it into our immediate viewing area, Hardy, DeSoto, Highlands, and Polk County. But the problem is the winds in the extreme range, about maybe 20 miles, maybe 25 miles from the center. Now, hurricane-force winds will extend up to the coast. So no matter where you live, if this track verifies, you're going to get winds of 65 to 75, maybe 80 miles an hour, even along the beach. But if you live closer to this line, that number is going to be a lot higher. It's probably going to be closer to 100, maybe 105. Now, the storm will weaken as it moves into inland areas. The question, of course, will be how much. If you look at this storm, it's pretty much moving due west right now at 12 miles an hour. And I'll tell you, that's good news, bad news, okay? The good news is if it moves a little more to the west, it's going to interact with Cuba, and that could weaken it somewhat. But we're going to need that turn to occur, and we are hoping sooner than later, because the farther west it does go, the more likely it could take more of a westward path. And that is something no one wants, because if it were to go up the west coast of Florida, that is another story entirely in terms of storm surge, in terms of wind, in terms of tornado threat. But right now, there's your official track. Most of the Bay Area from, say, Lakeland to the west would be on the west side of the storm. That's usually the non-tornadic side. The east side gets the tornadoes, but that line, that area of about 20 miles from the center out to the west or the east is where I think the bulk of the winds will be. And just how high the latest numbers are showing, I'll have that coming up in a couple of minutes.
Check back with you shortly. Thank you, Dennis. We're taking action to keep you safe tonight with team coverage before Irma arrives. Tonight we have the Bay Area bridges most likely to shut down and the dwindling supplies for your family. But first, ABC Action News reporter Lauren Rosella shows us how Tampa families are dealing with mandatory evacuation orders.
People have been out here all afternoon making sure to prepare their home, and they're doing that right now by filling sandbags to protect against potential storm surge during Hurricane Irma. Zone A is Davis Island's Harbor Island, Bayshore Boulevard area, and parts of South Tampa. Now, this family understands the danger of storm surge and coastal flooding. They packed up their cars today, preparing to go to Lutz to ride out the storm with friends and family. But they say a lot of people still have questions about what's next.
They don't know what to do. It's scary. there's not a lot you can do.
Yeah.
Other than take the precautions and do everything, you know, that you're supposed to do, that you're told to do.
Now remember that you can stay in town, you can go inland or to a local shelter, and if you decide to stay at a shelter, make sure to bring your ID, medication, and money. And the governor says that if you do have an order to evacuate, please get out as soon as possible before the roads get even more clogged with traffic or you might be stranded without fuel. It'll make it a lot easier for you to get to safety for you and your family. In Tampa, I'm Lauren Rosella, ABC Action News.
Lauren, thank you. And you can find out which evacuation zone you live in right now. Just go to abcactionnews.com/hurricane and use our interactive map. Just enter your address for personalized shelter locations, evacuation and storm surge zones, plus emergency phone numbers. Wendy.
And you have 2 other options to help find the closest shelter for your family in a heartbeat. redcross.org/shelters instantly gives you the closest Red Cross shelters to you. And to find any other shelter in your area, just go to floridadisaster.org/shelters. You might want to go to all of those websites right now, write down the closest shelter and keep it on you so your family can leave quickly if need be. Meanwhile, shelters around the Bay Area already filling up tonight. This video from Gibbs High School in St. Petersburg. There's room for 6,000 people. School buses bringing many in as we speak. Staff there serving 3 meals a day. Shelters around Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas counties open today and are now offering free shuttle services. You can text 43362 to find your closest shelter if you need one. Jameson?
As the Bay Area prepares for Hurricane Irma, we want to let you know we've got experts here on standby ready to answer your questions about the coming storm. Our phone bank staffed with emergency managers and more. You can give them a call right now at 888-209-8881 until 7:30 tonight. The current track has Hurricane Irma heading straight up through Polk County. ABC Action News reporter Andrea Lyon is out in Davenport right now as residents there are working to avoid any destruction there. Andrea?
Homes out here are boarded up to the best of their ability. Families now saying that they just have to sit and wait. Escape is not an option. Not for El Redding.
That one there ain't playing.
He's watched 5 strong hurricanes come through in his time.
And they're not taking prisoners.
Irma doesn't compare.
All the hurricanes that came through, this one's the one that's really bothering me the most.
Now Al says it's more about protecting his home.
I'd rather be prepared than not prepared.
And those who will be inside.
Got the grandbabies and all that stuff. And they're down in Lake Wales.
This works just as well.
His next door neighbor using a unique option, straws to insulate his windows and doors. Jeff McMaster says it's worked in the past.
I've rode through a couple of them before, so we're just going to hunker down. We've got lots of supplies, got 4 cases of water in here, and we've got a big roast and a turkey cooked up and everything, so we're set for a couple of days.
Al not taking the evacuation option.
4 more of these the same size.
Instead,
screw gun and bucket of screws.
Hoping he and his family can escape devastation.
That's a monster sitting out there.
Many other homes out here do not want to brave the storm. They've already left their homes for evacuation. Live in Polk County, Andrea Lyon, ABC Action News.
Andrea, thank you. And as we speak, Duke Energy is already preparing to get your electricity back on as soon as possible after Irma passes through. So the utility company mobilizing about 7,000 workers. Duke does expect widespread power outages, and they do say restoring power will depend on the damage to their electrical infrastructure. Tonight, Duke is urging you to stay away from downed power lines after the storm. Meanwhile, tonight, a last-ditch effort to stock up on necessary supplies. The need for water and gas still really in high demand. Today, many spending hours trying to find open gas stations. ABC Action News reporter Carson Chambers joins us live in Tampa, where some people still need to fuel up before getting out of town. Carson?
Yeah, this place has been busy all day. It's the Mobile on North Del Mabry. They actually have Tampa police officers who are watching over the pumps as people fill up. Patience was the key today if you were getting gas or waiting for water.
2, 3, 4. Come on, Mo. Come on, baby.
Matt Lane just moved his family here from Georgia.
I just want to help out.
Tonight, we're proud to call him a fellow Floridian.
Just do something good after all the horror stories that were happening yesterday, price gouging.
Lane volunteered his help for free at Ultra Pure Water in South Tampa, a local business selling cases to anyone who still needs them.
Amazingly relieved. I've called and been everywhere. I saw this on the news last night and I came.
Usually Ultra Pure only sells to big businesses, but their line's open to the public because of Irma. Gas lines weren't as friendly.
I've noticed more and more as it's gotten closer that there's more gas stations with bags on the pumps. So yeah, this is the third one.
Most Tampa gas lines moved speedily, but you still had to wait. And where signs turned customers away, Lane waved them in.
It's not about the money, it's just trying to help out, man, in a new place.
Welcome to the Sunshine State, Matt Lane. We hope you stay.
I need 2 more, Mo. I need 2 more. 9 and 10. Y'all be safe.
Okay, after all that bad publicity that 7-Eleven has been getting around the state for, making those prices really high on cases of water, they are actually sending 3 big tractor trailers full of free water, one of them coming to an Oldsmar location at 3855 Tampa Road tomorrow. They're going to be giving away free water at 7-Eleven at that Oldsmar location. That really should be a madhouse. We'll wait and see. Back to you guys.
Good move on their part. All right, thank you, Carson. Still to come. Getting ready to help. Tonight, the reinforcements now on the way to help all of us get through Hurricane Irma.
And no way out. Hurricane Irma could potentially shut down Bay Area bridges. Tonight, the bridges most likely to close and the conditions that could cut you off from help. As the Bay Area prepares for Hurricane Irma, we want to let you know we've got experts here on standby ready to answer your questions about the coming storm. Our phone bank staffed with emergency managers and more right now. You can give them a call at 1-888-209-8881 until 7:30 this evening. Jameson?
As we speak, reinforcements are on the way. More than 100 soldiers based at Camp May in New Jersey are now on their way here to Florida. The soldiers will provide emergency response support for people dealing with the hurricane and its impact. They're expected to arrive at Camp Blanding in Central Florida tonight. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie says the men and women are well experienced and have served on the front lines during Hurricanes Irene and Sandy. Evacuees from South Florida who came here to Tampa forced to move again. The West Shore Grand on Kennedy Boulevard kicking guests out today after the city issued a mandatory evacuation order. Bonnie Evans caught the last flight out of Miami to here in Tampa to escape the storm.
They're just telling them that there are shelters available locally. I asked them where the shelters were, and they said they were working on compiling a list, but I still haven't gotten that. But basically, there's no transportation to shelters, and everyone's just left to make their way.
Well, the hotel drove several guests back to the airport to see if they can catch another flight somewhere else further away from the hurricane.
And as we continue to track Hurricane Irma, we're taking action for you so you're prepared when the storm passes the Bay Area. I want you to take a live look at the Skyway Bridge right now, which, as you know, closes all the time. So with the current track, we're expecting many of the other local bridges to shut down as well. Here's ABC Action News traffic anchor Lindsay Logue.
Anytime you have cities surrounded by water and bridges are your main arteries, there is the potential for a disaster, especially during a hurricane. The sheer size and intensity of Irma is enough to cause catastrophic damage to anything in its path. On Florida's west coast, we're bracing for tropical storm force winds.
You're not going to be able to go outside, and that is going to cause damage to trees and power lines.
It's vital that you and your family are in a safe place by Saturday evening at the latest.
We are running out of time.
Once the winds hit 40 miles an hour, the Sunshine Skyway that connects Manatee to Pinellas County will close, leaving I-75 as the only major north and south interstate open. There isn't a wind threshold for the other bridges, but if there's flooding, which is expected, and or if the winds get too strong, they could close too. The last time the bridges closed completely because of weather was for Tropical Storm Debbie in 2012. The Skyway was closed for 3 days, the Howard Franklin 8 hours, and the Courtney Campbell was closed too. If you're elderly, if you have a serious health condition and live alone, or you're in the late stages of pregnancy, you need to make plans now in case of an emergency. Lindsay Logue, ABC Action News.
Now, the most accurate weather team in Florida, ABC Action Weather.
Hey there, everybody. All right, so we continue to watch Irma, Category 4, but in reality, pretty much is 1 mile an hour shy of Cat 5. So it's still every bit as strong as it has been the past couple of days. The projected path takes it pretty much right up the spine of the state. Now, we always talk about this cone of uncertainty, the margin of error, and we all know that it is very important, especially our area. We know that from about 12 years ago. More on that in just a second. But the bottom line is this is the path. Couple of things I want to show you here. First of all, Category 4 as it makes landfall, maybe even 5, although I'm thinking more of a 4, early morning down southwest of Naples. Now, down in the Everglades, which could be a good thing because that's a very rural area. The bad part about it is I do think they are going to have to deal with a surge in the Naples area. Tell you what, this is so reminiscent of Donna back in 1960. A lot of folks who have lived here a long time remember that storm well and how it literally just cut a line right up the state. Well, what concerns me most from this particular storm is the wind. Now, yes, we're talking about surge. We're going to get very heavy rain. There's going to be some areas 6, 7, maybe even 10 inches of rain. But compared to the wind, I think that will be secondary. Now, the good news, Category 4 Sunday afternoon down to our south. 24 hours later, it's been downgraded to a tropical storm. That's the forecast. Now, remember, this is the forecast path. It can change. And as we've seen over the last couple of days, it does change pretty often. But we always talk about over the last few days about how it has to make a hard right turn, and that can change everything. And I think anybody who's been around here for more than 12 years knows what I'm talking about. How many of you thought Charlie was coming right toward us, toward the Bay Area? I did. I left my home coming into work that day and thought Charlie was going to go directly into our area. It turned down to the south about 100 miles, 6 hours before landfall. We're still 2 days before landfall. So a lot can happen in that amount of time. So I don't want you to give up hope that the line that you see, the path that you see, is set in stone. I think we all know that it isn't. But the one thing we have to stress, this is not a storm that you can write off, folks. And I think most of us know that now. You know, earlier in the week, we thought there was a lot of places it could go. But if you remember, it was 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago today, we saw this coming off the African coast. And we even said, this is a storm we have to keep our eyes on. It just had that feel and that look to it. And clearly now that is exactly what's happening. This is a major storm, pinhole eye. There is a chance as it interacts with Cuba right here, or could, that it may weaken it just a bit. But, you know, folks, this all boils down to tomorrow. Bottom line, the models at this point you can pretty much throw out the window because they're almost meaningless. We know by tomorrow morning about 9, 10 o'clock until the afternoon it's going to make a left turn, or a right turn rather. A left turn would be great news for us. That's not going to happen. But the bottom line with that is once it does, the forecast is done. We know exactly where it's going. So it's so important to keep us. We'll be here all night. We'll be here all weekend long. And as always, we'll be updating on social media, on the web, because that really helps you know no matter where, no matter when, whether it's on your smartphone, whether you're at home on the computer, you will know exactly what's going to happen. Futurecast, this is just one additional model, but there's a lot of agreement that it starts down south around the Everglades, moves up. And unfortunately, this is where it gets real for the folks in its path. 20 miles, the way I see it, yes, hurricane-force winds extend 70 miles from the center, which pretty much makes it to the beach. So if this path goes up the middle of the state, everybody's going to be getting winds close to hurricane force. Now, I'm telling you, if you live along the coast, Pinellas, Pasco, Hernando, Citrus, down south, near the coast, especially even west of US 19, your winds will be noticeably less than they will be around downtown Tampa, up towards central Pasco, down through Hardy and DeSoto. But my biggest concern is that area right along the central sections of the state, from Lakeland, Bartow, right on down to Arcadia, Wauchula, areas down north and south, east of I-75. So there's your rule of thumb right now. You live west of I-75, it's going to be a nasty Sunday night. But it's something we'll get through. You'll see some trees down. You might see some pool cages up, that sort of thing. But the folks who live in eastern Polk, in fact, most of Polk County, based on the current track, like I said with Charlie, it can change. But based on the current track, if you live in that area, you have to right now prepare for the possibility, one, of a Category 2 hurricane coming into your neck of the woods, and two, if you live in a mobile home, you want to go to a shelter. Not now. Tomorrow this time, we'll know everything. So stick around all night long, all weekend long. We'll be here for you to get us through this together.
All right, thank you, Dennis. Well, still ahead, Wings of Hope tonight, the selfless group helping people escape Hurricane Irma's path despite their own need to prepare. As The Bay Area prepares for Hurricane Irma. We want to let you know we've got experts here right now on standby, ready to answer your questions about the coming storm. Our phone bank staffed with emergency managers and more. You can give them a call right now, 888-209-8881. For the next 5 minutes until 7:30 tonight. Amongst all the anxiety from Irma, a glimmer of hope and goodwill.
Yeah, that's right. Families are getting out thanks to special people with the wings and the will to make it happen. Pilots like Carrie Bentley with Angel Flight helping families escape Florida who would otherwise have no way out. Angel Flight Southeast is a network of 650 volunteer pilots who typically transport passengers with medical needs. But Hurricane Irma has already forced missions in and out of the Caribbean and right here in Florida. Bentley even put his own hurricane preps on hold in Jacksonville to make today's flight from the Bay Area to Tallahassee. And as we speak, Governor Rick Scott is activating the Florida Disaster Fund. It provides financial support for anyone who will be dealing with Hurricane Irma's impact. The governor says he expects Irma will have a major impact on our state, and we must use every available resource to meet the needs of our families and communities.
And a programming alert here for you this weekend, because keeping you safe and prepared is a priority for us here at ABC Action News. There is a chance we will briefly interrupt programming for weather updates throughout the day and night. In case of continuing coverage, all ABC Saturday college football games, which start at noon, will also be shown on our digital channels. Those channel numbers are listed right there on your screen, as well as our website.
So one last look. We do want to mention quickly about surge. It will not be an issue until Monday morning, but we do have a high tide between about 6 and 9 o'clock as the storm's pulling away. There's a surge map. There could be a 2-3 foot surge, but look down south of Fort Myers and Naples. That's where the worst of this surge is going to be.
Our continuing coverage on our website right now at abcactionnews.com.
And we'll see you back here at 11. Have a good night.